Hello, everyone, and welcome back to ZMAM as we look at the Season 8 finale, Episode 16 of Walking Dead, called Wrath. So, here we go, guys. This is going to be full of spoilers. We're just going to talk through it and some of the things that went down tonight. So, Rick finally breaks silence with Sadiq starting off the episode, asking him how Carl was actually bitten, how it all went down. Sadiq shares the true story about Carl paying respect to Sadiq's mother, trying to release the dead one's souls. It was kind of an awkward conversation because near the end of it, Rick just kind of walks out and doesn't really say anything to Sadiq. But the music, gentle and inspirational, continues on, as it suddenly turns dark, as we see Morgan starting to freak out a bit, feeling something's going wrong. And he storms the front gates of Hilltop, about to attack these the defectors, as they're returning from a quick mission that they were leading some undead away from the hilltop so they didn't have to deal with them. And Morgan is stopped by Carol, and as he turns to as someone grabs onto his arm, he swings his staff and he nails Henry, the little boy. And Henry gets knocked to the ground just looking shocked, what the hell just happened? And Morgan's obviously not fully realizing what he's doing. He's not right. His mind is broken. He's clearly at major conflict. We've known this for the last, 3 or 4 episodes. Well, hell, we've known this the entire time of Morgan, but he's gone through these back and forth scenarios of, losing his mind, and clearly he needs to get away. But all the same, Hilltop starts to roll out as their plan to attack Negan's forces are underway. Because Rick received the intel that he thinks is good, but we find out it's actually a trap. So back at the sanctuary, we see an assload of saviors preparing to roll out, and poor Dwight is scarlet lettered and on display for all to see. Negan sends a small force of his peoples to actually be slaughtered, just to show that the intel Rick received looks legit. I mean, what a cold bastard. I mean, that's just raw. But that shows who Negan truly is. I mean, saving people, you're letting your people just die for nothing. So Morgan ends the last savior in the crew as the group attacks this little group of saviors, totally annihilates them, and he brutally slices his neck, stabs him in the heart, I think, with his staff, takes his map from him, and Morgan has an imaginary conversation with the savior Jared, who, remember, he was behind the fence. And Morgan kind of held on to him as Jared was eaten alive pretty much. And, Jared just kind of calling out you must really like, doing what you do and all this stuff. And again, Morgan's mind just totally going away. So they also spot something else on their journey. But, at first I couldn't quite make out what it was. I don't know if my TV was just really fuzzy. It shouldn't be, it's 4K, but it was actually a huge horde of walkers in the distance, way distance, and more than we've ever seen before. So, but of course they can't deal with that right now, so we push that off until later. Rick and his Hilltop Warrior crew get caught out in an open field as Negan gets on a speakerphone, basically telling Rick that they're all going to die. And I mean, they couldn't be more exposed. This is not a good scene, but the Hilltop peeps cannot see Negan and his people yet. But then we see Negan. He puts a gun to the back of Gabriel's head. Looks like he's about to kill Gabriel. I mean, the intensity is just blowing up here. I mean, you feel like the wrath is just going to be unleashed, as it always has, by Negan and his people. And then, holy shit, Eugene did it. He sabotaged all of the Savior's bullets somehow. And immediately as they start open fire, the Saviors lose over 80% of their people, probably, give or take. All the bullets backfiring, nailing some of them in the heads, fully wounding them. It was crazy. I had thoughts that it was possible that Eugene would try and pull this off, but I was just wondering, had he gone full Negan? And something part of me always said that no, I'm sure if he ever finds the chance, he will try and help out his friends. But he has to play the part, because he wants to survive ultimately. I mean, survival is the ultimate dish, which I think if you can handle Eugene with that long-handled spoon or whatever, and understand that he's all about the survival, and then that's about as far as you should trust him, maybe there's a relationship there, especially since he has so much knowledge about just random shit. So, good for Eugene. I think he still has a lot of work to do to make up for things he's done, but I mean, he pretty much saved Rick's Hilltop Warrior crew, for sure. I mean, they would have been annihilated. There were so many people up on that hilltop about to lay in. Pretty amazing. So back at Hilltop, another crew of Negan's crew was sent to wipe out, I guess, any remaining members that were still there. And I guess Hilltop was already on the case with this and used some kind of secret exit to get outside of the facility. And then basically, as they're waiting, Tara is about to go and kind of hold him off when all of a sudden some of those savior defectors, and forgive me, I'm forgetting that guy's name, the main one, the kind of curly haired guy who's really been making an effort to try and start anew with Maggie and her team. But basically, he gets his buddies to join her, and she gives them weapons, which is pretty cool. And then all of a sudden, Oceanside shows up and starts barraging the shit out of the saviors with Molotov cocktails, just burning them alive. So, it was cool to see them. It kind of seems a little bit like an afterthought, kind of like there was so much time spent on Oceanside trying to get them involved in this. I think the writing kind of got, I don't know, it just kind of got tangled up. They just didn't know how to get them in any faster. So, I was glad to see them. It's cool that they've joined the fold, but it's kind of like, well, thanks for finally showing up. But I guess they did do their part. They helped out, and the Hilltop people were able to get to safety, and the rest of those saviors were taken out. So good for them. Rick chases Negan down. So as the battle finishes off, and all the bullets are, have ricocheted and hit all the saviors, Rick chases Negan through a set of vehicles and then down this hill, this rolling hill where there's like a tree or whatever. And Rick takes his last one or two shots, breaks this kind of stained glass window thing that was hanging from the tree. And then Rick stupidly starts charging down the hill after him. And of course, Negan, ready for him, just nails him solid in the stomach with Lucille. The two square off, and Negan really gets the upper hand as he's wounded Rick. And Rick then starts pleading with Negan to listen to him for just 10 seconds. Just please, just this is asked for Carl. And Negan, he can't help it. That's his weak spot for Carl or whatever. And he listens to Rick. And Rick's telling him about, how there's a new world can start from this. He doesn't have to do it, doesn't have to kill him, or they don't have to kill each other. They can work together. And just as, it's being laid on so thick and Negan's eyes are welting up, and I think, he's pretty much going to just surrender and maybe just lower the bat, Rick pulls this quick, dirty move and slashes a piece of that stained glass past Negan's throat as Negan drops to his knees and pretty much starts bleeding out. He says something like, "You did this," or something like that. And he was probably just as surprised as the whole nation on this one, because I did not expect this. And I'm like, oh my God, Rick just killed Negan. It's done. This is a total scoundrel move. But although shocked and this and that, Rick, he starts to walk away. But I think what I was more shocked was Rick yells to Sadiq to go and save him. And I'm like, what? I'm like, so wait, you're playing with my emotions too much here, Walking Dead. So I thought, he was going to be a goner. And then what a powerful performance also by Maggie, screaming out in anger, sorrow, and everything else, basically telling Rick that he can't save Negan, he can't do this, he has to die. Rick gives a good speech, about the future, how they must band together if they're going to survive the undead. And as that camera finally shows a much better view of that crazy, crazy size horde that's out in the distance. Probably the largest we've ever seen again. So, but very, very powerful and convincing speeches from all, even Maggie's too, with her pain and sorrow. We know she's hurting. She misses Glenn so much. I will say that it would be hard for me to let the remaining survivors of attackers, live and go back home. After all, just minutes ago, they were willing to murder everyone there. So, in a way, and my wife was kind of agreeing with me too, it's like, this is somewhat unbelievable in our minds. But on the other side, trying to think of it from a writer's perspective, I was thinking, well, it could be possible that the saviors were seeing, since they saw Negan out of commission, possibly definitely not going to make it, could die, and realizing the war is over and they have no more cards to play, that maybe it's possible they could fall in line and just go with the flow. Be good, just work together as a community. It doesn't seem like that hard of a concept. Especially if it means not being killed, which in that case, I'd be like, yep, I'm good. I'll join you guys. Sounds good. But I digress. So, they get Negan back to Hilltop and they bandage him up. Rick and Michonne's plan is to keep him alive. So they talk to Negan and they talk to him how they're going to keep him imprisoned in a cell. Basically just so he can see that he was wrong, that people can be better, that the world can grow together and not be underneath just one man's tyrannical boot heel. And also to teach others a lesson to what can happen if, you try to pull some stuff like Negan did. So they send some, mixed sets of people back to the sanctuary. I think some were sent back to the kingdom too, but I think I'm wrong on that one. But either way, the point was that they were branching back out to their settlements to kind of rebuild and restructure. Even at the sanctuary, they sent people there to start putting things back together. I think Tara shows up with some materials, and there's going to be a lot of mending and building to do. And As someone to say that, well, is this just going to just backfire and then, them have another uprising? Well, we're going to get to that in a second, but it wouldn't be from who you'd expect normally. So Gabriel also stops by Alexandria's chapel, the burnt down chapel, and has a moment there, kind of sentimental and whatnot. Basically, I think he's finding God again, because I think he had started to lose that part of him in his priesthood. But I think he's found the way, and God has shown him the way just by all the miraculous things that happened, and the hilltop people surviving, all his friends. But more importantly, so let's get back to this. In the scene, there is a scene where Maggie is talking to Jesus behind closed doors, and I'm like, uh-oh, what's this all about? Basically revealing that Rick and Michonne are wrong for letting Negan live and patching him up, and that they're bide their time, and when ready, they're basically going to kill Negan and whatever else they need to do to accomplish her mission, which is she wants blood. She wants Negan's blood. And with friggin' Daryl appearing out of the dark at the very last piece of it and agreeing with them, like, yeah, we'll be ready, or this or that. I mean, is this a coup after another coup? I mean, how the hell could Maggie go behind Rick's back like that? I mean, some are saying that I guess maybe that Rick betrayed Maggie by not killing Negan, but did he really? I mean, he's trying to find his humanity. He's trying to do something for his dead son. I mean, there's a lot of pieces in play, and Maggie should know that too. Well, except that Rick probably didn't share that with her, but it's still the sense that you're going behind his back. I mean, you should at least try and talk some sense or this or that and say, no, this is a bad idea. This is why, we'll find another way, but let's not keep him here. Let's not keep him alive. All the same. So this is kind of where it ended out. So how far is Maggie willing to go if Rick or Michonne get in the way? I mean, I'm just messed up on this. I mean, I get it. What happened to Glenn? And although I like Maggie, she's not my favorite character because I just have less commonalities with her style and her character, whatever. Plus, I'm a dude, whatever. But I can sympathize because I don't think I could ever stop trying to kill Negan if he had killed my wife or sister, etc., whatever. So, but I'm telling you, I would not go behind my previous leader's back. He's still a good man for the most part. I mean, he pulls a little devious shit here and there, but it's pretty much to survive and get the job done. When in the apocalypse, that's just how things are. But I just would not go behind his or her back. So my allegiance still lies with Rick on this. I really want him to succeed and build as a character, even though we've seen him through so much. But I want to hear from all of you. Are you siding with Maggie, Jesus, and Daryl? I mean, even though they're going behind Rick's back, and this could really be some nasty stuff. I mean, what if Rick and Michonne get in the way? I mean, is Maggie willing to kill Rick or Michonne to get her vengeance? I think she could. And, a little woman governor style going on here. Or do you think Michonne and Rick have a point, and that Negan should be left alive to prove a point to other people and leaders that may be devious and trying to do other things? So please let us know in the comments. Finish off this episode just to say real quick, Daryl takes Dwight out to pasture. Dwight totally mans up. He accepts his fate and understands that he deserves to die for the things he's done. Killing Denise, some of the other things he's been doing under Negan's thumb. He pleads for his life as Daryl tosses him a set of keys to a truck and tells him to never come back, to keep going, find his wife, and whatever he does, just make it right. And that's usually as much as you get out of Daryl in short words. Just make it right. Do the right thing. I actually think Dwight is a good person underneath, and I'm kind of sad to see him go. Dwight heads back to the house where he left his wife, and he finds a note for him there with D on it, and inside it has an infinity symbol with the word honeymoon on it. So I really am hoping that this is a hint to where he can find her, and that maybe there's still more to Dwight's story after all, because I kind of like his character now. I mean, all the same, we maybe shouldn't, but I think he's done redemption, and I think there could be more there. So Morgan takes his final leave. He makes his way to the Trash Peeps home, the Heapsters or whatever, and he lets Jadis know that she can join Hilltop if she wants. Morgan says he basically needs to be alone. He can't join her, but, she wants to go back, and he's basically has to find himself. So it's a shame to lose Morgan on this show, but of course we're going to gain him on Fear the Walking Dead, so that's kind of cool too. I give this episode an 8.7 out of 10. It's a bit high, especially with some of the writing faux pas or whatever that they kind of jacked around with, but, we had some really good surprises, although some probably saw coming, but, with so many fan theories and, things, that just play out in the story, it's kind of hard not to foresee some of the things that are to come. But the end of the war was fulfilling, I think, overall. And I'm glad to see the show finally start to restructure and start to